Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching. It is the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. It's Tuesday. That is open forum night and Tuesday Night Live. So if you want to comment or have a question, pop into the live chat and I'll say hello to Magnet Mafia and Shalom, Jacqueline. So shalom to all of you out there watching. Peace be upon each and every one of you, and blessings be upon each and every one of you, especially with the episode we've got tonight. Shalom, Yah. Open forum, as I announced last Tuesday. Actually, I announced it before, but last Tuesday was the first open forum, and we talked about UFOs, unidentified flying objects, not necessarily aliens or spacecraft. Okay. But anyway, since then, shortly after that, actually, after last Tuesday's episode, I was asked to talk about a video that had come out about a week ago. And the video was on Moorish World TV. And it was Ozone and Tariqa Bey talking about Grandmaster Jay, and I was asked to take a look at the video and say what I thought, since I've been documenting the NFAC from the beginning, and I don't know, and it's not any of my business. What the relationship is between, if there is one, between Grandmaster Jay and Tariqa Bey, but it seems like there might be something personal there, because it absolutely has to be negative with him when it comes to Grandmaster Jay, and some of the things he has said he saw as wrong. I personally don't see as wrong, like getting people to buy a gun for protection. He was making a rather big deal about Grandmaster Jay's persuasiveness to get people to arm themselves and protect themselves, and I didn't see that was wrong. And the same thing about degrading the marches, if you will, getting people to march together to show power. I think that's, in these times, I thought that was a necessity. And I've said I didn't think Grandmaster Jay was most proficient with a gun, and so what? He can't shoot. He's got 3,500 people behind him that are all well armed, and at least a couple of thousand of them are going to be able to shoot. So I don't know. It just seemed like it was just trying to find something wrong with Grandmaster Jay. And I did have a problem with the video. I had one problem with something Ozone said. I didn't have a problem with Ozone. I thought Ozone behaved as any man would in that circumstance. But I had a problem with something he said. He said we got to start killing. And I understand. I do. I understand why there are some in the Black community that feel that way, that's the only answer. But it's not the only answer. And that's why I founded EAR. That's why the people that are in EAR are in a EAR. And that's why, if it appeals, you need to get in EAR now. like I said, I understand why, but we've got to have other options other than just killing. And like I said, I didn't have a problem with Ozone said, and the reason I say it's like Moorish World TV is like constantly anything negative about Grandmaster Jay, and that's that's that platform's business. But Ozone kept saying, I don't want to talk about Jay anymore. I want to, I want to move past that. And it didn't seem that that's what the host wanted to do. And Ozone eventually cut out. Ozone eventually said, that's it. I'm hanging up, and ended the video. And I respected him totally for doing it. And I thought he might have done it. I thought he might have been on the verge of doing it a couple of times before he actually did it. And he did it because KFOS came on, and KFOS came on and made a comment that was highlighted, and Tarika Bey went off, and that's the only way I can explain it, and went off at KFOS and was calling KFOS a tough guy and this and that, and they're in Maryland and DC, and let's settle this. This shouldn't be about being online. And then he said, that don't threaten me on social media. And then he says, I'll do a whole episode about you. So he's using social media as a threat himself. I thought that, that was kind of an odd twist. And I got to say, screaming at KFOS about, he was saying, who have you killed to avenge George? Who have you killed to avenge Brianna? And I thought that was kind of dangerous. And then he goes on to say that, the feds are probably watching. Well, if the feds are watching, Mr. Bay, you shouldn't have said those things. They can be seen as inciting. And like I said, I totally understand. I just I hope we can show there are options other than just killing each other. And so that's and so that's all I've really got to say. I don't have no new news on what Grandmaster Jay's doing other than what was revealed in that video, and that is that he's supposedly doing some private instructing in small groups. And again, that was portrayed as being bad. I don't if what he's teaching is bad, then yeah, that's bad. But small group learning is one of the most effective ways of instructing and empowering, in my opinion. So a lot of the things that I hope that answers the questions of those of you that wanted to know what I thought about that. And if not, I'm sure it'll pop up over here in the live chat. Before I go on, let me jump over here real quick. Stephanie, hello. Yes, this is live. It's 8:44 there in India. Wow. Thank you for watching. Good morning to you there in India. So you're like a day ahead. It's like the 17th over there. Thank you, Stephanie. Tyrant Terminator. I have a love affair with Grandmaster Jay and the NFAC. No, I've been covering Grandmaster Jay and the NFAC from the very get-go, all the way back July 4th, the March at Stone Mountain, Georgia. It's not a love affair. It's a respect. It's the fact that it's historic. It's the fact that I feel it needs to be documented, and documented in a manner that is not, it's neither supportive or destructive. Okay. It's documenting what the NFAC has done and what Grandmaster Jay has said and done. It's not a love affair. It's history. It's news. Um, you know, right now it's at a crucial point. What will happen, and only time will tell that. But no, it's not really a love affair. Um, I, you know, I report whether things are good or bad. I report both. So it's not really a love affair, but I do have a lot of respect for. He put his ass on the line. He marched out there in front of people that in areas that a lot of people want to shoot him. So, you got to respect that in and of itself. As I wouldn't say, that's just if you're going to have a movement, you got to be in front of it. Otherwise, it's they're going by people. I must follow them. If you're going to lead a movement, you got to be out in front of them. So, in my opinion, you got to respect him for that. He's very, very charismatic. He is intelligent. He's articulate, a very good speaker, and those are just facts, or I guess those are just my opinions. What I consider facts. It's not a love affair. It's just being honest. Warrior Captain, thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. The feds killed Fred Hampton. Yeah. Couple of powerful movies out right now: American Skin and Judas and the Black Messiah. Couple of very powerful movies. True Soldier, thank you for watching. Thank you for all you do. Warrior Captain, we're not kissing ass no more, Barry. Live free or die. I'm not asking anybody to kiss anybody's ass. Tariq Barnes, Barry, have you ever smoked a cigarette? Yes, I have. Actually, I quit smoking cigarettes in 2016 when I got divorced. Okay, quick story. I got divorced. 2016, I ran for Congress, and I wasn't anticipating doing so, but because of Bernie Sanders, I ended up winning the Democratic nomination for the 6th District in Indiana. I was a delegate. I was a Bernie Sanders delegate to the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia, where we protested. Anyway, after that election, and I didn't win, my then wife suggested I go to Florida for a week to kind of decompress and to visit my daughter and son-in-law and my grandson. And while I was down there, she basically filed for divorce, cleaned things out. And so, yeah, shortly after that, I quit smoking cigarettes and made some other major changes. But yeah, that's the last time I've had a cigarette, believe it or not. I do smoke cigars. So, shalom to Jerome there. Tyree, I'm curious why you asked if I've ever smoked a cigar or ever smoked a cigarette. X marks the spot marksmanship. I saw that movie, Judas and the Black Messiah. Great movie. Why do you, Immortal River, Nile Valley? Why do you want to be on his show? Is that directed at me? Immortal River, Nile Valley? Why do I want to be on his show? I'm not sure who. If that's directed at me, I'm not. I don't remember saying anything about being on anybody's show. So, yeah. Jay So, thank you for watching. Yeah, divorce was tough, and I went through depression and and I haven't got back. I'll probably never get back economically where I was at, and it was all because I was trusting. And anyway, um, I believed in my vows. Okay, didn't cheat, didn't disrespect, did everything I was supposed to do. But life happens, and like I said, I went through depression. I got into a dark place, and I isolated, and it's not, it's not good. It can mess people up. It's a trauma to some people. To some people, it's an escape, and to some people, it's a trauma, and to some people, it's just, well, that's, we hung on as long as we could, so everybody knew it was coming, and it's really not that big a deal. So it like everything else can't be put into a single pigeonhole. All black people don't think, act, behave, work, do. All white people don't think, act, say. And we tend to think that way, and it's just not true. And it's one of the things that still keeps us divided. But anyway, I finally decided I was going to start dating in 2018, and that didn't work out so well. And then I stopped doing that and tried that again. And I met Kay, and Kay, people come into your life for a reason, for a season, or for a lifetime. And Kay came into my life for both a reason and sadly just a short season. But so that kind of takes us up to where we're at today with me just being 100 with everybody, because the bigger EAR gets, the more people are going to want to know why I'm a phony baloney that believes in trying to work for racial equality. So the more stuff I get out ahead of that, the better off. Let me go back over here to the comments real quick. We are in an incredibly dark place now. Immortal River Nile Valley. It took a divorce for you to quit smoking. You could have saved that marriage. Be honest, you wanted out of that marriage. She nagged you about the smoking. No, actually, Warrior Captain, she was a smoker, and she didn't nag me about the smoking. I don't know. She really didn't nag me about she really didn't have much of anything to nag about, in all honesty. And yeah, so BLM has set race relations back 50 years, born to riff. I'm part of the EAR, okay, End All Racism. And as far as Black Lives Matter, we're not trying to replace Black Lives Matters. We're not being, we're in addition to. We don't have the same mission statement. We don't have the same organization. We don't have the same goals. So so I'm going to refrain from commenting on Black Lives Matter. Warrior Captain, we were both smokers. That's one thing we did together. Actually, we would go out onto the porch and sit at the table in the evenings and have a cigarette and talk about the day. It just, she likes a lot of different men. Okay. And she found that out while we were still married. And so, it is what it is. And I must say, because of that, because of being divorced, no, I'm not going to get into all that. I'm not gonna get into that. Let's get back into let's get rid of the personal stuff here and get back into the actual crux of the show, as outlined in the title. Um, but yeah, I just one final thought there. I just calling people out and and stuff like that online. Um, it's not my bag, and it's uncomfortable. Um, yeah, Magnet Mafia. I've been trying to protect my heart. I really have, and Kay stole it, but for a short period of time, and when she was suddenly passed, it was devastating. And if it wasn't for the viewers and the show and giving me a focus, gosh, I don't know where I'd be, because there are times that, I mean, the world's dark, and and you hear a young black man, um, in the video I watched on Morris World TV, say the only answer is killing other people, and I'm willing to die. I'm willing to go and not come back, and knowing he has kids, and feeling that that is the only option. And I'm not, I'm not saying those feelings are wrong. I'm just saying it's horrible that we are in a place, uh, that, I mean, as far as a place, I mean, this existence we're in, that that people could feel that way, and we've got to try to get other options out there, and we got to do it now. This isn't a an era where we've got a lot of time. In my opinion, this is an era where things need to escalate in a positive manner quickly, because they're about to escalate in a negative manner quickly. That's just my opinion at the moment. Jerome, I love you too, man. Um, Compton Finest, thank you. Thank you very much. Much respect, and all respect and honor to all of you. I know everybody doesn't agree with me on everything. I'm fine with that. Just, we don't hate. If we disagree about something, okay. We don't hate. The rest of the show's going to be hard. Not this. This first part hasn't, and I'm just gonna ask for a little guidance and protection, um, for all of us as we venture into this next section of the show. I want to talk about New Orleans, and I want to talk about something that many of you will be aware of. Some of you may not. I want to talk about something called the New Orleans Massacre. It was also called the New Orleans Riot, or and believe it or not, it was also framed as the New Orleans Uprising. And you can imagine who was portrayed in those stories as being uppity. In 1866, 3 years after the Emancipation Proclamation signed by Abraham Lincoln, basically saying all people are free. In 1866 in New Orleans, it was time for politics. It was time for the state convention. It was time for delegates to gather together in the state convention, as I have done many times myself as a delegate to a state convention, twice delegate to national conventions. So it's it's usually a time of celebration. It can be a time of contention. As I said, we protested in 2016 in Philadelphia, um, that voices were not being heard, and we weren't even close to a point where the Black community is as far as voices not being heard. I'll just say that. But back to the point. There's a convention, 1866, New Orleans, Louisiana, and the Black people are going to have, the Black men are going to have the chance to be delegates at the convention and determine their own governance. Anyone want to venture a guess what happened? First, they marched towards where the convention was going to be held, and let me get that a exact address, because I don't want to say anything that's not true. It's the Mechanics Institute was the name of the building, and this is where the convention was going to be held. And all of the Black delegates marched behind an American flag, and they were stopped by white supremacists, and eventually they were allowed to go into the building. However, many of them were never allowed to come out of the building. It was called a riot. It was called an uprising because Black people thought they could vote and thought they could be delegates. And there were people that were not delegates, that were just Black, that were pulled off of streetcars and shot in the head. There were people pulled off of wagons, pulled out of stores, pulled off of the street, beaten or murdered. Now, I wasn't planning on mentioning my divorce or my ex-wife or anything, but my ex-wife and I spent a week in New Orleans, and this was shortly after Katrina, and this was shortly after I had run for Congress against Mike Pence for the final time. And we were in New Orleans, and I've always had I've always had a spiritual connection. I'll just frame it that way. I've always, I believe in good and evil. I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ as my personal Savior. I believe in Almighty God. I believe in the power of prayer. I believe in the power of positivity. But as I feel we must, if you believe in those spiritual things, you also have to, if not believe, at least consider the opposite, the negative spiritual things. And so I've always felt a spiritual connection, and at times presence, if you will. So we're in New Orleans, and actually we'd been to Muscle Shoals first to visit an old friend who since passed, and I had a potential business opportunity down there at the time, and we decided we would go and spend the week in Louisiana, in New Orleans, since we were already there. And while while we were there, um, it was the second night we were there. We went on it was called a ghost tour. We went on a ghost tour, and I'm not a huge drinker. Okay, so it wasn't like I was drinking all day long before going on this tour or anything like this, or had anything to drink during this ghost tour. And it was something. Um, it was something that my ex-wife wanted to do while we were there, because she watched these ghost reality shows where they, I don't know. I think a couple of them, it was proven they were, setting things up, and it wasn't really real things happening. But anyway, she watched those shows, and that's one of the things she wanted to do while we were in New Orleans, was take this ghost tour. And we're waiting. We're waiting for the tour guide. There's a group of maybe, I don't know, 15 to 20 of us that had gathered, waiting on this ghost tour and waiting on the tour guide. And a voice just kept coming to me. You're going to go the wrong way. You're going backwards. You're going to go backwards. And I'm like, okay, I'm not sure what that means. But earlier in the afternoon, while being a tourist in New Orleans, I was snapping pictures of buildings and of the unique architecture of New Orleans, and I captured an image in a window that not really sure what it was, and this was earlier in that afternoon, and I just kept getting this message that you're going to be going backwards. And our tour guide comes up and says, something, 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 and we're going to go this way. And I said, isn't that going backwards? And he looked at me and said, have you done this before? And I said, no. And he said, how'd you know we're going to go opposite of how we normally went? I said, I don't know. Something was telling me we're going to go backwards. He said, yeah, we are, but it'll basically have the same effect. And something would say, no, it won't. And, you're not going to get what you need to get from this tour. And I said, okay, all right. And we went on this tour, and it was humorous. It was amusing. Some stories that were, impactful, historic, pirate stories and things like that. And then we got to this building, and he simply said, this is a very, for those of you that think you have spiritual connections, this is a very dark place. A lot of Black people were killed here, and that's all he said. And the next day, I investigated exactly what happened, and I went down, and I talked to this gentleman at the oldest bar still standing in New Orleans, and went to that place, and I asked about this, what happened, and he went into great detail, that there were so many Black people killed that they were stacked like cords of wood on top of each other, and stacked so high. And so, and he explained that, the vast area that Black bodies were, and they just left them there. because they were devalued. And it just had an incredible impact on me. And he told me, he said, you'll hear stories and there are newspapers account, but they didn't take the time to actually count the number. They put a number up and it seemed like a fairly large number, but it wasn't close to the number of people that were actually just slaughtered. And it was just because they could. And I'd like to think we had progressed as humanity. But I fear we haven't. And that's sad. And I hope I'm wrong. I'm a positive futurist, and I believe that we can have a peaceful, prosperous future for all people, but not where we're at now, and not the way we're doing it now. So that's that was also New Orleans is also the first time I was ever propositioned. So I don't know why that popped into my head, but it did. And we went in, the ghost tour. We left the ghost tour probably halfway through because it was pretty much a sham, and my wife really wanted a drink. My wife really wanted a cocktail, so we left the ghost tour probably halfway through, and we left it in an area that a lot of the voodoo shops were in, and those that are familiar with the French Quarter and Bourbon Street and New Orleans, the area I'm talking about. And we went into a couple of them, and I didn't feel bad vibes being in the stores. I didn't feel bad vibes from the proprietors of the stores or anything like that. But up until recently, that had been my experience with voodoo. Now, since these are open forum nights, anything goes. Somebody sent me a couple things and said, a couple of people sent me things and said, on next open forum, talk about this. And somebody wanted me to talk about voodoo and about the power of black magic, and if I believed in that stuff. And I've just kind of explained my limited exposure to voodoo was just basically being in a shop while in New Orleans. I got another email, and this is involving QAnon and my statements on QAnon about how one of the conspiracy theories is that Joe Biden's a vampire and a cannibal, and he has to have baby's blood in order to stay alive, things like that. And it was it's outlandish to think about. And I had a couple of people send me things, again. Stephanie just said she's watching in India, which I think is just absolutely flabbergasting, and I'm totally honored. And I've got people that tune in from Australia, tune in from Africa, and Haiti and Jamaica and Dominican Republic and all over the place. Anyway, when talking about the QAnon conspiracy theory, I got this, and I want to read it. Overseas, it says, the overseas, overseas, the elites in countries like Haiti, Panama, and on the continent of Africa do use sacrifices to stay in power. No, I did not know that. I was not aware of that when I first received this. I've looked into some things. Overseas, the elites in countries like Haiti, Panama, and on the continent of Africa do use sacrifices to stay in power. The whole spiritual thing is real. Those blood sacrifices are real. These people do worship Lucifer and other deities to stay in power. They have to feed these deities with something to stay on top. People just take things as they are. The reason I'm telling you this, the reason I'm telling you this is because a female I used to talk with is from a very wealthy African country. She comes from a very powerful African family, and they rule an African country. And she has told me that her family was involved with the occult, and she explained to me how things worked. Now, I also have the things I have seen on the continent of Africa and in Haiti. Let me start again. The things I've seen on the continent of Africa and Haiti let me know that voodoo and JuJu are real. Okay, these are not expressly my opinions. These are opinions that have been shared with me. Okay, for as always, not everything is my expressed opinion. It's not necessarily not my opinion, but I went to I went to Wikipedia and I just said voodoo, and let me get back here. Okay, well, what happened? It just basically explains that there are many variations of voodoo, and that many candomblé, JJ, also known as Brazilian vodum, Cuban voodoo, VODU, Dominican, Haitian hoodoo, or spirituality, or root work, sometimes called Low Country voodoo, and Louisiana voodoo or New Orleans voodoo, a set of African-based spiritual folkways. Okay. Then there's West African voodoo, which is practiced by Gibi-speaking ethnic groups of Africa and African diaspora religions, a list of related religions sometimes called or mistaken for voodoo. And the same things with JuJu. JuJu is often used to define any religion from Africa, and that's not the case. JuJu comes from the French word JuJu, Jou, which means plaything. It's a spiritual belief system incorporating objects such as amulets and spells used in religious practice and practiced in West Africa, especially the people of Nigeria and Cameroon. And again, the term has been applied to other traditional African religions. So, is it possible that there are some that are practicing this in the United States? Yes, of course, it's possible. But a lot of times, groups, especially fringe groups, tend to tend to accuse people of things that they are themselves doing. So while I would be very wary, very careful of accusing anybody of anything like that. And at the same time, with I haven't told you everything I haven't given you everything I was given. Okay. I know what country is being talked about. I know the name of the family that's being talked about. And I'm not going to expose that on this program. But I was given that as enough as enough information to look for evidence to see whether this was worthy of putting out. And it is. So there are a lot of dark things happening in our world and possibly even in our country. I mean, we know there are too many children being taken. We're well aware of that. Is it being done by a cabal that has put Joe Biden in power? I can't say that, but at the same time, I'm not going to be as flippant about some of the QAnon some of the QAnon conspiracies. And again, the people that follow that and bought into that, they're not stupid people. They were just so desperate to find something. They felt such a need to try to believe in something that's where they're at now. And again, I hope our country moves past that. I hope that the Black community doesn't feel so desperate that the only choice they have is to kill or die. That's just, we got to do better. We can do better. We must do better. And that's why I started EAR, and that's why I've got some absolute fabulous people working. We're going to do that tomorrow night. Wednesday night's going to be an EAR episode, and we're going to talk about the future of race. And hopefully the future of race in America is not war. But we got to do some things about it to make sure that it's not. So go back over to the comments for a little bit. I've been on here about an hour. And who's on there? T-Rex. Voodoo was founded off warding off and fighting white supremacy. Again, I'm not a voodoo expert. I don't claim to be. And T-Rex is going to be on Thursday night. We're going to talk about what unity could look like, or equality, and if it's even possible. And T-Rex, talk to me a little bit about voodoo on Thursday night, because no, I was not aware of that. Jones Roy, yes, we're going to get information out about joining EAR. Biden is a vampire, Chucky too. I don't. Again, I'm not. I'm going to move away from that one. I don't know. I don't think Biden's going to be president. I don't think he's going to last probably 6 months. I think Kamala Harris will be the 47th president. And I wish nothing but the absolute best for Joe Biden, or I don't wish ill on anybody. But I think Joe's probably about done enough. And he was a plaque holder, just like Hillary Clinton, for the traditional Democratic Party, to make sure that not too much progress is made, because Republican Party and Democrat Party need to stay closer aligned, and they're getting farther and farther farther apart. And I've talked about all this before, and I'm not going to go into all this again. Um, as far as Joe, I mean, what Joe did was he stopped Bernie Sanders from winning the nomination. So that's what I actually meant by that. So thank you all for watching. Let me run down through here real quick. Space Frog, X marks the spot. Immortal River, True Soldier. Always appreciate you, my man. Look forward to having you back on the show here soon. FAB Queen Warrior. Thank you for watching, Captain Warrior Captain. Always, Baba Yaga, dude. Baba Yaga, you're a talented video maker. You really are, and I don't agree with your positions on everything, but that's cool. You got some skills, and I do appreciate that. Bye, Warrior Captain. T-Rex, we'll see you Thursday. We will be tomorrow night, EAR. It's going to be Star. It's going to be Comedic King. It's going to be Marie Justice and myself, and we may have one other person join us. If you want to reach out to me, you can do so through email, americandoofus@gmail.com, or on Facebook at American Doofus. And I've been saying this for a long time, and I still haven't gotten around to doing it yet. But I'm going to get the Twitter and the Instagram. I'm going to get all that stuff done. We're trying to get EAR off the ground, and that's more important to me at the moment than expanding Doofus, which I really need to do. I need to be expanding the footprint here. And I thank you all. I love you all. I wish absolute nothing but the best to each and every one of you. I do. I wish blessings upon you. I wish one of the things I include in my prayers every night. I want to wish upon you. I wish for strengthening and healing physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. And I wish that upon each and every one of you out there watching this now live or watching it on the replay. I thank you all. I love you all. Until next time, tomorrow night, EAR show. It is the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. I'm your host, Barry Welsh. I love you all. Good night.